can you lead us in the pledge, sir?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces, our first responders, our veterans, those fighting the good fight in Ukraine, and those suffering from military conflict in the Middle East. Thank you.
The creed?
And the creed?
Yep.
Katie?
Yes. The Americans Creed by William Tyler Page. I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy and a republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon the principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity, for which American patriots sacrifice their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
Thank you. Paul?
Hey guys, me again. Good to see everyone. I'm here just for a public service announcement as the first part. Sorry. Coach Tony Morrissey, Mine Hill in Milford. Yeah, just here for a public service announcement, an invitation if you will. Brian Cody's Brothers and Sisters Foundation is a 501c3 charitable organization. And we are pleased to announce that we'll be hosting the 4th Annual Overdose Awareness 5K and Recovery Festival on Sunday, August 25th, in beautiful New Milford, Connecticut. This free, family-friendly event starts at 7:30 a.m. on Youngsfield Road with a 5K awareness run, sponsored by TLC Dog Trainer. This will be the first year that will actually be sanctioned and will be timed by Fast Track, so we're really excited about that. Medals will be awarded for the best times. Every participant will receive a commemorative keychain, and there will be a free raffle before the race. That's just one part of the big event, the big awareness festival. The awareness event continues with fun-filled activities for adults, teens, and children alike on the town green, starting about 9:30 a.m. Until dusk. Children will love our Kids Zone, which offers free face painting, magic shows, a bounce house, arts and crafts, carnival games with prizes, and the area will also feature an anti-bullying children's play by the Tia Candy Squad. Parents are going to love that everything in our Kids Zone is free. Throughout the day, guests will be treated to an amazing array of live music and entertainment for free. Thanks to our sponsor, Los Stocko Refuse Services, LLC. Live musicians are local, somewhat celebrities, Ethan James, the Southern Voice Band, Jordan Meyer, Dave Del Monte and the Cross County Boys, Muir Bishop. And for the second year in a row, we're going to have Skylar Ray and Kayla McCady come all the way from Portland, Oregon to join us along with their friend King Handsome of Rhode Island. As the music plays, guests can shop at local artisan and crafter booths, enjoy delicious bites from places like Rich's Wings and Things, Rice to Meet You, Royal Crepe, and Jesse's Ice Cream. While they're learning about substance use disorder, which is the real purpose of this event, we'll be doing a lot of Narcan training. There'll be resources down there from CCOG, from Apex. Other local resources will be there to help in what we call the Recovery Advisory section. We're very excited that this year, at 6 p.m., we're going to have a live play performed by the folks at Second Act out of Boston, Massachusetts, a nonprofit theater performance group that's been doing this for decades. They will be down here at 6 p.m. To put on the play called I Wouldn't Do That. It's a very compelling story, great for teenagers. They've been using this play at schools across the country, and they've got data-driven results that it makes a difference. I really do invite everybody to participate in at least that piece. The night will conclude with our powerful luminary presentation, the Peter Stewart luminary presentation, which is effectively a candlelight vigil to honor those 60 people that we've lost in the last 10 years in Milford and more. We would love to see everybody down there. If you can help come down and support us, please do. Thank you very much.
The date
The
again?
date, again, is Sunday, August 25th, and it's going to start at 7:30 on Young's Field, and then about 9:30, 10 a.m., we'll be up on the town green. Mr. Mayor is going to join us. The special committee that's been meeting will be there for a Q&A. We'll have Jonathan Mendica, who's a very popular local author who wrote a very, very great book. There's lots of stuff going on, and it's all for free. So come on down and join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Paul?
Tom?
Paul?
Good evening. First off, I want to correct a misstatement in the minutes. I'm Tom Caxton, 12 Mountain Road. I want to correct a misstatement in the minutes of the 7/22 Town Council meeting. My comments were not focused on the ongoing lawsuit against Kimberly Clark. They were an attempt to advise the council of the ongoing pollution of the Housatonic River by effluent from the now closed Kimberly Clark landfill on Route 7 near Boardman Road. I cited the updated filing of the lawsuit only because it provides a concise and clear description of the pollution. As I mentioned at the 7/22 meeting, the town has the responsibility and the enforcement authority to intervene to have the effluent from the landfill intercepted and treated to render it harmless before it is discharged into the river. Second item, later this evening, the council will be reviewing the proposed revisions to the current Municipal Building Committee ordinance. Last fall, in response to the incident where a length of pipe was dropped through the roof of the high school into the auditorium, the 2 fires at the school, and the discovery of the non-compliant work that had been done by the original contractor, I did some research into the town's project management process. After reviewing the current MBC ordinance and comparing it to the ordinances of other communities in the state, I sent the mayor a proposed revised ordinance that was an attempt to strengthen both the MBC and the town's project management process. I based my suggested changes on the ordinances currently used by the town of Cheshire and the town of Fairfield, along with the manual that the town of Fairfield provides to the members of its MBC. That draft was sent again to the mayor and to the town attorney in January, and in response to that, the town council established a subcommittee to review the current ordinance. The meetings of the subcommittee have focused on reducing the responsibilities of the MBC to the point where they will have no project management capability. The issue of strengthening the town's management process from the time the interest in a project is first expressed to the time when the completed facility is turned over to the user group and the final project-related paperwork is filed is also not addressed. The proposed revision to the current ordinance also reduces the requirement for the retention of project-related communications. Apparently, the author of the proposed revisions does not understand the role of the clerk of works, who is typically employed by the owner's employed as the owner's rep during the construction portion of a project to monitor the work as it is underway. That position should not be confused with the role of a project manager, who is an individual or firm that is retained to be responsible for the overall progress of the project from the time interest is first expressed to the time when the completed project is turned over to the user group and the final project documentation is filed. I have raised my concerns during the course of the meetings, but have not received much in the way of a response other than the comment that the members of the current MBC do not want the responsibility for managing projects or engaging outside resources to do so. I cannot recommend approval of the proposed revised ordinance and recommend that a subcommittee be formed to develop an ordinance that strengthens the role of the MBC and its staffing and the management process used by the town. In light of the town's mismanagement of the high school roof replacement project, the need for that is clear. Finally, regarding the proposed relocation of the town's Department of Public Works, I have provided the council members with a copy of the comments I made at the August 8th, 24 meeting of the town's Inland Wetlands Committee, during which I advised them of the need to coordinate the planning for and permitting of the proposed relocation of the town's DPW. There are a number of outstanding issues that need to be addressed by the town before any work related to the relocation is done at the Scoville Road site. Apparently,
30 seconds, Tom. You got 30 seconds.
I'm sorry?
30 seconds.
Apparently, when the town sent the early municipal assistance questionnaire in preparation for the meeting with the CT Deep at the end of May, the town did not provide a copy of the proposed site plan for the relocated facility, so Deep does not have, as yet, have a full understanding of the proposed project. Just to quickly close, I have recommended that the application that DPW submitted to the Wetlands Commission for initial approval of the general outline of the intended relocation be either rejected by the Commission or withdrawn by the DPW because it is both incomplete and premature.
Thank you, Tom. Katie Francis.
Good evening, Katie Francis, 123 Candlewood Mountain Road. I wanted to say a big thank you to many people in this town. The United Way of Western Connecticut, Coastal and Western Connecticut, back to school, our 33rd year. Distribution was Friday, and it went off because, of course, it was rainy and windy and humid and everything, but we had great volunteers, and I want to thank everybody, every donor, every volunteer, our social service department for everything they did, our health department for providing each family with a very cool thermometer, and it was just wonderful. So it's all, by the time we're done, still have some waitlist children, and I think it'll be about 300 by the time we're completed. So I just want to thank anybody who sent anything, whether it was a notebook, $1, or came in and handed me a pack of pens. I thank you, thank you, thank you on behalf of all these kids that are so excited. They also got a gift card to Kohl's to get some new clothes, and when you see the kid in the back seat hear that, yeah, John, this card is for you. You know, it's just really, really heartwarming. So thank you, everybody.
Katie. That's all there.
Thank you. Next, consent agenda.
Okay. Item number 4, I'd like to move that we approve item 4A, prior minutes, and 4B, tax collector.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item number 5, I'd like to move that we approve the
Reappointment.
yeah, it's a reappointment. Is it?
You missed B.
Wait,
No, it should be.
no,
She
I
did them
did
together.
B, A and B, 4A and B. This is a reappointment?
Yep.
Okay, then I'd like us to move to approve James Anderson for the Inland Wetlands and Aquifer Protection Committee, and that term would be August 12th of 2024 through August 11th of 2028.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
5B, I'd like to move that we approve for the Planning Commission, and this is a full seat, Suzanne Von Holt, term to run August 12th, 2024 through January 31st of 2027.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Mayor's comments?
Thank you, Katie. First, congratulations to the New Milford, the Soccer Club of New Milford, you 15 boys. They also have one young lady athlete on there as well, as they won second place in the Hershey Cup.
Wow.
And congratulations to Coach James and Coach Nelson as well. Also want to congratulate, I'm probably going to not do a good name pronunciation on the names, but congratulations to Manis Somasherka and Armana Narkanian for making the New England Hub U15 Zonal Squad cricket team
Oh, wow.
for 2024. Amazing, congratulations. Want to congratulate Nick Sterno, who is a New Milford High School alumni, and he was with the Norwich Sea Unicorns, which is a baseball team, Future League Baseball, and they are back-to-back champions of the Summer Leagues. Congratulations to Nick. Want to also thank Sharon Village Center of the Arts, as Pat and I were helping them out with their Harry Potter summer camp that
yeah.
they had. And we saw the kids playing Quidditch out in the front. That was pretty amazing.
You were dressed as a wizard, right?
Yeah,
You look pretty good.
pretty nice, pretty fun.
Pretty dressed up.
Yeah. And I want to thank our facilities team, as we have a new flagpole that's at the library. And want to thank Mike Bird of the Connecticut Society of the Sons of the American Revolution for the wonderful Betsy Ross flag that's currently flying at the library and looks beautiful. Brand new, excellent. Nippon Roadside Cleanup, 3 veterans is out today. Cleaning roadsides, they were at Stilson Hill Road. It's about 0.3 miles. They picked up 8 pounds of garbage, no nips, good news. 18 redeemables, and they went to Old Stilson Hill, which is about a half a mile, 9 pounds of garbage. The New Milford Sidewalk Project continues. I know Jack and Chuck will be talking a little bit more about that a little bit later. The Mariel Bridge continues. The contractor is doing soil pinning on the southern side of the bridge, and it's still on task to be completed by the end of November. Roads update, Mine Hill Road. Contractor was doing some backfilling behind the curb. They completed all final curb installation and they began driveway apron replacements. Want to thank the New Milford Commission on the Arts as they hosted the Red Hots this past weekend. And thank you to Lou Mandler and the whole group for doing a fantastic job. Also want to thank the line men and women of Eversource and contractors. Also, our first responders as well. We did have some power outages with the part of the tropical storm, and we were very fortunate that 30 miles to the west of us, they got some extremely bad weather. We were fortunate we did get some power outages and some trees did come down, but just a great job by our DPW team and those linemen, crew men, and women. Also can't thank our first responders enough. We had a lot of we had accidents that did require assistance this past weekend. And thank our first responders, our New Milford Police, Fire, Ambulance. They do incredible jobs each and every day. Staying on the topic of traffic statistics, motor vehicle stops, speaking with Chief Ceruto today, in the year 2023, at this time in 2023, we have 1,148. So far this year, we have 2,491. That's an increase of 1,343, or 116%. Also with DUIs, in the year 2023, we had 20. In 2024, 38. It's an increase of about 18, which is about a 90% increase. And as we say to those here in the audience and those watching here and then recording, please do not drink and drive. You can get a dedicated driver. You can call somebody to come pick you up. Please do not drink and drive. It can hurt you and hurt those others that may be in another car or another vehicle. Motor vehicle accidents in 2023, we had 528, 86 were in parking lots. In the year 2024, we have 538, which is 10% increase, which is a 0.018% increase. As we talked about in the very beginning of the spring, we were going to see a little bit of an increase because of summertime, new drivers on the road. and people that come to New Milford that don't live in New Milford, they don't understand the road systems, so we are seeing a little bit of an increase there. Fatalities in the year 2022, we had 5. 2023, we had 5. So far in the year 2024, we have 1. So as of right now, some of the things we've been doing as far as traffic and really serious accidents and fatalities have dropped. So that's good news. We still have a lot more work to do. Concerning the New Milford High School roof project, we continue to work with the bond company and with the project manager or clerk of the works that's on there. Jack, how many panels about have they pulled off so far? And this is panel by panel.
Did 35 today. And so far, they've done 2 sections completed. They are on schedule for to be done in 100 working days, which will be in September.
And then with the with that being said, they continue to, as we talked about here before, they're going panel by panel, opening up the panel. If it does require a screw or a clip, that they are going to install those, take pictures before and after. And I believe I said this before, and Jack, if you confirm it, we're going to probably have about 40,000 pictures when it's all
That's
complete.
just, at the end, we will have about 40,000 pictures with notes and identifying locations on the roof. Somewhat weather dependent. Today was a great day, and we're supposed to have good weather all week, so we'll make up all the time.
And Jack, it was mentioned public participation, the DPW move, so the council can kind of get a better sense. Where are we in that process?
We have gone to planning and received the planning approval. We had submitted to Aquifer Protection, we'd gotten approval. There was some question. DEP's come back and said there's a couple administrative things that need to be straightened out. We're working on that. We've have a site plan that was prepared by WMC, by a professional engineering firm, to meet the criteria that you would do for a site plan. It's been submitted to Inland Wetlands. Per the schedule that the Public Works Department's project management team put together, the next step is to go to planning and zoning, to zoning. And at that, I've talked to Laura. We would not go to zoning and make the application out right currently, because we would wait till the end of the wetlands approval to do so. If we go early and it gets delayed, then we run out of time with zoning. So that decision was made as a project management team to schedule in that manner. We are working with DEP and EPA on a plan as far as remediation. We've just finished our several hazardous materials sampling areas. We're doing a site survey currently because our consultant TRC asked us to do that. There's a slight delay. I'm going to let you know why the slight delay is. If you remember, about 2 months ago, there was a bad accident on 384 where a gentleman had a deer come through the windshield. That was our consultant. He is currently in Gaylord going through rehab. There's a slight delay. I've talked to the consultant. They're going to have another person step in temporarily until he's able to get back to us. But that report is ready. Will be prepared to go to DEP. We are working with DEP on the closure plan. There's been some other conjecture. There's a lot of the site has been closed previously. There's 6 file cabinets of data that the town has generated in the last 10 to 15 years. Some of that Randy's very familiar with. Was used in a lawsuit with the disposal company. The steel, as this board let us approved, was removed a couple of years ago. So the soil piles were removed. We have continued to investigate the site. There was recently, or the last 6 to 8 months, we found a water pressure tank under one. There was a structure there. We took the structure off, found a water pressure tank. We checked it. It was just a water tank, so we removed it and had that disposed of, and the site closed back in. So we continue to work there. We inspect it. We work on it to make sure it stays clean. There was some question about the safety. In 2004, the site was declared by DEP to have met the exposure criteria.
Great. Thank you, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
And lastly, events. We got a lot of great things coming in and happening in town. Starting with, let's see, we got on the 17th, We've got the farmer's market from 9 a.m. to noon, as we've talked about here before, rated the best farmer's market in the state of Connecticut, thanks to Connecticut Magazine. On the bandstand, it's going to be the Red Dirt Girls from 10 to noon. And then at 7 p.m., Edward Kincaid concert series is Ken Moore. And thank you to Lou Mandler and the Milford Commission on the Arts. Then on August 22nd is Rock the Block, and that's going to be the Pop Rocks. And that's a great band. As we talked about before, thank you to the Bank Street Group. They do a phenomenal job. And bring a lawn chair and enjoy and relax and have listen to some great music. On the 24th, 9 a.m. to noon is the Farmers Market. And then the music from 10 a.m. to noon will be Swing Set. Then on the 24th, 7:30 p.m., Mariel Center is Nick Patrone. And then 7 p.m. right here on the green, Edwin Kincaid is Ace and Friends. And then as Coach Tony talked about, the 25th, you're going to have 4th Annual Sergeant Scholars, and have the 5K run, and then the Recovery Festival. August 31st, 9 a.m. to noon is the Farmers Market. Music's going to be Mitch Katz from 10 to noon. Also on the 31st, 7 p.m., Edward Kincaid is Rick Rays. And then on September 7th, 9:30 a.m., starting off is the co-ed softball tournament at Harrybrook Park. Also on the 7th, 9 to noon in the Farmers Market is music will be Bill Benson. And also on September 7th and September 8th is the 3rd Annual Irish Festival we're having here in New Milford. And thank you to the Irish Club for doing such a phenomenal job and raising a lot of money for great community involvement. So we can't thank you guys enough for that.
Mayor, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
The farmers markets, which date is it that people can come for the water testing?
That was this past Saturday.
Oh, it already happened?
Absolutely.
I was busy.
And I think Amy will talk a little bit more about
Maybe it'll
that
happen,
in a few minutes.
Okay.
And that's what I got so far.
Great.
Two.
Okay.
I have a few more questions for Jack. Is that possible for him to answer that?
No.
No. Okay.
Yep.
Well, I had a question about the high school roof.
Sure.
It sounds like it will be completed maybe 3 weeks into the beginning of the school year. Will it have any effect on what's happening inside the building?
Not at all.
Okay.
As we talked about a few weeks ago when we first were talking about this, we've been meeting, I believe, daily with the principal, Manka, and also with the superintendent, and also with Matt Cunningham, as they daily go over that stuff. They make the arrangements and the logistics, and so far, so good.
Okay.
And then Mary Jane, what did you want to talk about?
Oh, you just said no. Did you say? Oh, okay.
Sure.
I just had a couple more questions for Jack.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I have a couple questions. If the inland wetlands approves, I know because I think Deep had some concerns about the 5-year floodplain. So.
That's part of the zoning permit, you have to do get a flood
500.
certification, and we would work on that. I've talked to several people, there are locations in the town of Milford in the floodplain, and I would be looking at their design and matching their design, so that's something I expect we will be working with them during the approval with zoning.
And looking, I was at the inland wetlands meeting and looking at the plan. The plans are very incomplete, it appears, that the engineer was presenting to inland wetlands. Are they just basically preliminary plans?
I'll address that, because when we really only wanted to go, this was done, we were gonna go before wetlands, strictly to look at 4 locations on the site. I was asked by the inland wetlands agent and the zoning enforcement agent to prepare a preliminary design. We've done it. That is a preliminary design, as far as the layout. The calculations on the retention ponds take into account what we would need, even with the preliminary design. The site layout, as far as the building, that's preliminary. We are in the process of finishing that. Currently, all we're looking to do is to build what we call a Vector building. We need the Vector building for our,
Building? Or what?
we call it a Vector building. Actually, all it is a building, but we're gonna put the residues from when we clean catch basins and sweep the roads. We can no longer put those outside. We need to put them someplace, dry them, and have somebody dispose of them. Currently, we are not able to do as much on the catch bases. We don't have a place to do that. So we were looking for a Vector building. The second thing was, we were looking to put our gasoline storage area there, and diesel. We were gonna add a tank, and it was gonna look exactly like the one that's at the state garage on Route 7. Almost exactly verbatim. We're looking to put our salt sheds there, because, you know, we're trying to move off of Patriots Way. We actually have a salt shed sitting there waiting to be erected. And that would be on an impervious surface, again, exactly like they have well, ours would be larger, but what they have on Route 7. It would be on an impervious surface where they would load the salt would be on an impervious surface, so it's protected that way. The other part is the fire training tower. And the only part of all this application, of those 4 items, there's only one part that's in a wetlands, in an upland review area, and only an upland review area, and that is the parking area for the fire training tower. It's on the north end, and it's the only area where we touch the wetlands and upland review. So, we made out the application, we put together the site plan, which is preliminary. We are working on a lot of the details right now, but that's the reason we have a site plan. It's close. It would be very close to what we would do, but there are details that we will continue to work on.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
Next is Housatonic Valley Health District.
Amy Beth G.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm Amy Beth G. I'm the Director of Health for the Housatonic Valley Health District. So I just wanted to come tonight to update on 2 PFAS initiatives. So the first is this past Saturday, myself and my team were at the New Milford Farmers Market in partnership with York Lab offering discounted water testing. We had a very successful event. We had a number of folks who were able to go home, sample their water, return their water samples same day at the farmers market. Those are currently being tested at the lab. And there are a number of individuals who signed up for PFAS testing, which my team is conducting over the next couple of weeks. I did want to mention that York Lab will be honoring that discounted pricing throughout the next week. So if folks did not have a chance to go to the farmers market this past weekend, but they're interested in getting their water sampled, take a look at our social media pages. We have all of the pricing information there. Reach out to myself or my team. All of our email information is right on the website, and we're happy to continue that through Saturday.
And Amy, first of all, thank you. For those that haven't seen it, on the website, they have the New Milford Clean Water Assistance Program. You can see this right on the website they have. Some of the things I thought was great, as I tried to bring myself up to speed, Amy, is not only is there PFAS, but there's other water contaminants or water issues that face all of us as private homeowners. And you also are working on those type of things too, correct?
We are, that's correct.
And I know when we talked about, you know, what's come before the town council is the cost of the testing and the cost of remediation. So you and I, we kind of looked at it and said, well, is there a source that makes it an affordable alternative to really fixing the problem, right? And there are actually filters that you can put on your tap. You could put Mayor, you put them on your tap, you put them in your bathroom shower, you put them on there, and they're about what, $150 a piece, $100 a piece?
They're cheaper in many cases than the PFAS test itself.
Right.
So what's really great is if you feel, right, if you feel that that is something as the homeowner that you'd like to do, you can do it. And you can put them right on your sinks, you can put them right on your shower, and that just knocks it right out. Cheaper than going for the PFAS test, correct?
Correct.
And don't they also work on some of the other water quality issues as well?
They do, which is fantastic. So in this document that the mayor mentioned, and I recommend that folks take a look at this document online because there are a lot of links that are included here. you can actually look at all of the different types of water contaminants that folks should be testing for, and also the cadence at which they should be testing for these. So some of them are recommended yearly tests, some once in the life of the well or when folks move into a new home. So you can take a look at all of that information in this packet as well.
Great.
Awesome. Mayor?
I was wondering, and thanks for doing all you're doing, but I was wondering if you could tell us if you've had a real surge of people wanting information, or it's been mediocre.
So I would say, and I'll just mention this, for our water testing event on Saturday, the testing for the other contaminants did outweigh the folks who were interested in PFAS testing. So in terms of who's reached out to my office and inquired about PFAS testing or PFAS in general, we haven't really seen an influx. It's been pretty steady and sporadic, I would say.
Any other questions, Mary Jane?
So, just a question about, you said you send out your team to test water for the PFAS. Who is your team?
So my two sanitarians, I have a chief sanitarian and a senior sanitarian. They have both, together I think they have over 60 years of experience in this field. And they were trained in the past, but also refresher training by folks from York Lab to conduct this sampling.
And what does it cost somebody for, you know, if they go through the town for the PFAS testing? What exactly is that cost?
So this discounted price was $275 for this event.
So, was that for PFAS?
Correct.
Okay, so the whole water testing is $275. That's it? For
$275.
PFAS, that includes PFAS and everything else?
So that's just for PFAS. The others are available at other discounted prices, but they would be an additional cost.
So what would the whole thing be altogether?
I would have to look at all the pricing information. I think the basic test itself, which tests for the basic indicators, which are included in this packet, was $180. If you wanted to add lead, I think it was an additional $21. VOCs were $95. Yeah.
And then you can spend $400, $450, and solve your problem.
For sure.
So how effective are these filters that you're referring to? The ones that you
So-
can buy probably at Home Depot or wherever else? I mean,
For
what's
sure.
the
So
efficacy?
I would caution people to be very careful when they're purchasing filters. There's a lot of information that's on the EPA website, and you can actually check to make sure that the filters themselves are certified in the way that they should be. There are a number that I included as examples in this packet that are pretty discounted, but it's just important that you're checking with the EPAs within their regulations to make sure that the filter itself is certified.
Okay. So they're not, I'm sure they're not all good.
Well, we highlighted the ones that were
Right.
pretty
Correct.
good, right? Amy?
Correct.
Katie, and then Chris?
And Amy, the mayor mentioned, you know, you can put one on your shower, but we don't have to worry in the shower unless we're drinking the water as we're taking a shower, correct?
So that's a great question. So information that was being pushed out of CTDPH was that there was no dermal absorption that can occur. Because this is an emerging contaminant and new information is coming out on a regular basis, in the past month or so, I think there was information that was pushed out that says there is the potential for dermal absorption. So I would absolutely recommend that folks educate themselves, take a look at this information, continue to read what's being pushed out, because new information is being,
Yes,
discovered every
I
day.
thought so, that they had seen that. So then, if a person had a lot of bathrooms, you might wanna look at a major whole house type of a filter, which of course
Sure.
we've had those for many reasons over the years. And that is discussed in your information also, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
one of the filters that we've included a link for is a whole home filter.
Yeah, great, thanks.
Chris?
Amy, I just want to thank you for your work. I think you and the mayor have seen a problem. You've worked solutions to bring the price down in testing, and also I think the filtration is probably less than we initially thought and heard. So I think you've really come up with some great solutions for people in this town and across the health district. So thank you for your work.
Alex?
Just to be clear, these filtration systems, you'd need one at each spigot.
Depending on the filter that you purchase. So there are whole home filter options. And then there are ones that you can use at point of contact, essentially. So on the sink, in your refrigerator for your ice machine, for the refrigerator itself, or for your shower head.
And there are parts that need to be replaced as they're yes?
Yes, there are.
So we don't know what that costs or anything.
So if you go to the links here, that information
Okay.
will be included there.
Great, thank
Mary
you.
Jane?
Well, just another point is that it's not just the water, it's also the soil. And do you have anybody that can do soil testing? Because we do have people who have contaminated soil in the town of New Milford.
So in this packet, there's also links and information on certified labs. So folks can reach out to those certified labs to inquire about soil
Do
testing
you know
as well.
do you have that information? What is the name of the lab?
So I believe York does it, which is the lab that we partnered with over this weekend. But if not, there are a number of different certified labs across the state that can do that, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for Amy?
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Good job, Amy.
Appreciate it
Thank
very
you.
much.
Item number 8, opioid settlement committee. I'd like to move that we appropriate the funds from the opioid settlement committee to fund the Hope Kits.
Second.
And we have a second, Chris?
Yes, Chris. Second.
Okay. Tony, you want to talk about the committee and your recommendation for the Hope Kits?
Sure. Actually, I'm just gonna really pass this back to Miss Amy, who's leading the charge on this particular proposal. Just the next one in a series that are coming your way. Before I give the floor to Miss Amy, I'd just like to introduce Mr. Eccles, who's also on the committee with us, and has been a big voice in the conversations we've had about the proposals that have come forth so far. Mr. Eccles, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I'm Mark Eccles. I'm the program director at the Heritage Inn, and just happy to be on this committee. Thank you.
So this particular proposal is named Hope Kits, which I think is fantastic because hope for this population in particular, folks who struggle with substance misuse, is really paramount. So we included a problem statement, which really speaks to the problem that opioid abuse, substance misuse in general has had on the United States and then in this town in particular. So there's some data that folks can view here, and there's a dashboard that has data across the state of Connecticut as well. This particular proposal really speaks to harm reduction. Harm reduction is a practical and transformative approach that incorporates community-driven public health strategies, including prevention, risk reduction, and health promotion to empower people who use drugs and their families with a choice to live a healthy, self-directed, and purpose-filled life. So this proposal in particular would recommend that we utilize $19,632 from the opioid settlement funds to purchase a number of different products that will essentially come together to form these Hope Kits. So the products that we've included in this proposal include a warm essentials kit, which has winter gear for folks, hygiene materials, and some other items that folks who have perhaps fallen on hard times can utilize. In addition, we've included an overdose prevention kit, which includes fentanyl test strips, some testing materials, and a 2-pack of naloxone as well.
Amy, what was the other amount again, one more time? 19 what?
$19,632.
Which will produce,
Thank you, Tony, 300 kits.
Katie, could you amend your motion to include the amount of $19,632?
Certainly. I'd like to amend my motion to say that we would like to appropriate $19,000.
$19,632.
I'm sorry, 632, from the opioid settlement fund for the Hope Kits.
Second.
And you'll amend your second? Okay.
Any discussion?
Uh,
Well, Chris?
So, thank you all for the work. So, how do these kits help in the preventative aspect of addiction? Could you explain that?
So we're providing folks who may not have access to some of these materials, and including the naloxone and the fentanyl test strips, with the resources where if they're going to use, hopefully they're able to do it in a little bit safer and healthier way, essentially. It's also helpful for folks who know individuals who may be suffering from substance misuse to have naloxone on hand. So if there is an instance of overdose, they can intervene and save that individual.
If I may.
Oh, please.
If I may. We talk prevention. Have no doubt that naloxone saves lives. It reverses the effects of an overdose. You can see it on YouTube. You can see it here in town. I've seen it myself. I'm sure Mark has seen it. But that's not really the main driver. Mr. Murphy, you'll understand, in the military, when we have somebody that's wounded, our goal is to keep them alive. If we keep them alive and we get them to, greater resource places, there's hope that they will make it through. This is effectively the same mindset. We want to keep them alive, keep them going. One more day is the difference sometimes. Somebody they get Narcan, not all, but many, that's their wake-up call, right? Prevention is saving their life and giving them a second chance. Very important. These kids are super, super important. And what Ms. Amy has done here is she's laid out a plan to produce 300 of them, okay? If you talk to Mr. Ceruto, Chief Ceruto, he'll tell you that they can use these resources. He's told us that, right? So this is not just a recommendation from our committee, but also from, folks like Chief Ceruto I respect very much, So hopefully that makes sense.
It does, but I guess what I'm looking for is, and I know, we're at about 20% of the fund balance here if we approve this tonight. Looking for more of preventing people from taking in the first place. I guess that's in my mind. How do we get there?
Mr. Cosgrove, I know that that's an important matter. What we've been doing is there's a series of proposals. The ones that you're looking for, that you've mentioned a couple of times now, are on their way.
Okay.
Things like perhaps the idea of what I talked about earlier, these theatrical productions in the high school that really have an impact, right? Coupled with more direct services from our, Officer Schneider, our community navigator. One of our proposals is going to be to bolster that side of things too, and to foster more stuff within sort of the youth population. But like right now, we're kind of peeling the onion backwards, if you will, right? We're trying to save lives and then have that cascade out, right? Okay, now that we're starting to save lives, how do we spread awareness? Okay, how do we get younger? How do we get more grassroots, right? All of these things, we're trying to be very strategic and practical in the way that we're approaching this.
Okay.
Hope that makes sense.
Great, thank you. Yep.
Sorry, Ms. Amy.
No. All right, any other questions? Alex?
I see items on here that would lead anyone to believe that if you gave them that kit, somebody cares about them. And that's huge in prevention. And sometimes all it takes is a little. And they're personal care items here, I think, that could make a difference. I know it's small, but all of this has to be done in pieces at a time. There's no one answer fits all. I have an awareness myself, so I understand what people who suffer from addiction need to have, and sometimes it's a pack of cigarettes. Not that I want to give them that, but sometimes that's what it is. And so I think that having the police officers have these available to them, I like the list. How will people know where they are?
So we have a number of different locations that we have identified as potentially good sources to distribute these kits here in this proposal. I'm planning to reach out via email to these folks as well, and we can publicize where we are hosting those locations on our website, on the town's website as well.
Okay. I wonder if there was some kind of logo or something that was on a door or something to bring attention to.
That's a nice idea.
That, you know how the Red Cross is the Red Cross, right? Or the White Cross on the red background. Maybe there's something that could be a logo that's attached to it so that people know something's there for them.
That's a great idea. Maybe our committee can have a logo and we can, go ahead.
I actually nominate Mr. Bass to create a nice little logo or something. get your Crayolas out. Maybe Ms. Thomas, you can help him out, get crafty. But I think it's a great idea. And just to the point, if I can, Mr. Eckles might be able to speak to this better, but like to your point, you know, when you give somebody one of these kits on their first night, right, where they're trying to get themselves, I mean, the comfort that it must bring, knowing that they've got some toiletry items, you know, I mean, it'll help them come out of isolation if they don't feel, you know, insecure about the way they smell or, you know, look or whatever, so, to your point.
Yeah, certainly, and obviously the naloxone and the test strips are vitally important, but even the hygiene stuff, like I know people, the risk of infection goes up when you're living in this type of situation. I know for myself, I had cellulitis several times, you know, and these things aren't a priority, like a bar of soap's not a priority, so I think this list is, you know, not just in the life-saving, but also mitigating some of these other issues as well, so. And to your point, yeah, makes a big deal when someone hands you stuff like this, so.
I just want to say, Tony, you're right on the money about the naloxone. I've unfortunately had to give many patients Narcan and wake them up, and they wake up in seconds.
Yeah.
And they're awake. They're wide awake, and they can walk right out the door.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is that they're alive. They survive.
Right.
And they have that opportunity to walk out that door and make some better choices.
I mean, the old adage, one day at a time, right? And that comes from the recovery community, and by allowing everybody to have that next day, right? That it really could be a game changer. We don't know when that you know, that switch flips, right? When someone is ready and then they start to really embrace it. So, you know, this is a way that we can make that happen.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thanks for your support on
Good
this
work.
stuff, guys.
Thank you.
Item 9, update on the sidewalk project from Public Works.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Amy.
Okay. The Route 7 sidewalk project. Just briefly, I'll just give you a little background on it. The sidewalk project is part of, it's a pedestrian improvement project. It was approved under the Transportation Alternatives Components of the Federal Surface Transportation Block Grant. It's a mouthful. We put out several years ago, we put out the bid for the design. The design has been completed by Beta Corporation, a professional engineering firm who does this throughout the state of Connecticut. Connecticut DOT has a liaison, Mark Jewell. He works for VHB. He's a senior planner. He works with the town and the consulting engineer and the inspector, and he makes sure that we follow all the rules that DOT and the Federal Highway Commission have for this project. We get a tremendous amount of support from him, and he's intimately involved with each step as we go.
So Jack, not to interrupt you, but I guess I'm going to for a moment. So, just so the public that's here and those that are watching on the video, the people that you're interacting with, are they engineers?
They are all engineers.
And do they have experience in design of sidewalks and of roads?
They do. That was why I was going through step by step who these people are.
And when they build sidewalks, they build them for walkability and I'm assuming safety,
Yes.
meeting all of the criteria that the federal and state government would have on safety of sidewalks,
Yes.
which is why we would get a grant. If they weren't safe, we wouldn't get a grant. Am I correct?
That is right. And that is where Mark Jewell, he is the person who's the check and balance between us and the DOT to make sure that we follow the criteria of the grant and the specifications.
And Jack, there's been some people opining, social media wise, that these sidewalks are unsafe.
There was-
So, could we let the public know that these are safe, compliant sidewalks for
They
those
are.
that would walk on the sidewalks?
Jay Bertoli is a principal at Beta. He is I think Jay's been a PE for about 30 years. He's done sidewalks all over the state.
So, just, can you make sure to put this down, Steph? So, he has 30 years' experience.
Yeah.
in transportation.
Professional engineer, been with the city of Hartford, been with Beta for many years. This is what they do.
Great, thank you.
I had laid this all out, so you're
Sorry.
messing me up here. The inspector on this is SLR. So we have an inspecting company that comes out and throughout the process is inspecting. So there's a person out there every day from SLR.
Like a clerk of the works.
Clerk of the works. He does both jobs. The design cost for this project is $523,300. The inspecting cost is $451,067, and the construction cost is $3,413,700. This is an 80-20, so that the state and federal government pick up 80% and the town picks up 20. The sidewalk is designed per the DOT design manual. Now I asked Jay, Jay had a choice. He'd come tonight or he'd go fishing. So, sorry guys, you lost out. He's fishing in Maine with his son who's working on to become a medical doctor. Anyway, he sent me these things. He says, Jack, first of all, the sidewalks are designed to meet the Connecticut Department of Transportation Highway Design Manual, Chapter 13. It's 100 and some odd pages. Roadside safety addresses the use of guide rail, not guardrail, guide rail in detail. In short, guide rail is used to protecting motorists from the roadside hazards when slopes and objects fall within the required clear zone. Guide rail is never used to protect people walking on a sidewalk. There are specific warrants which must be met before a guide rail can be used. They are described in Chapter 13. Remember, years ago they were called guardrails until a smart lawyer sued over a traffic accident in which the rail did not guard against the injury to the client. It was subsequently renamed a guide rail for that purpose. A couple short bullet points that he gave. The guide rails are intended to shield or guide motorists that leave the roadway from hazards in the clear zone. Most of the proposed sidewalk is set back from the existing curb approximately 5 feet unless conditions do not allow. Such conditions can include limited right-of-way, walls, grades, environmental impacts, and other structures. Most of the curbing along Route 7 in the vicinity of the new sidewalk is existing bituminous curb and is to be retained. New curbing is proposed along new monolithic poured sidewalks and driveway curb returns. Now I'll just put one other thing. As I went through and that's about all there's one part that when we went through the design of this that I added with approval from the mayor. I was driving down to the high school one time working on the roof project, and it was in the rain. And there was a young lady standing at the bus stop that's past Sullivan Road, but before, well, if you know that one, it's standing in a mud puddle with no roof. So we've added there a shelter off the road that makes that safer. It keeps the person out of rain. We've also added one at the intersection of Pickett District and Route 7 on the far side in front of the church. Those have both been added as part of this project. Again, funded 80-20 to make it safer. This sidewalk is, the construction is being inspected by a professional engineering firm, SLR. It's an international firm. It used to be part of Malone McBroom, so that's the name you probably know, but they're now called SLR. DOT has an inspector out there, Gabe, who also worked on the Upland Road Bridge. He is out there checking on us on a weekly basis. We go out and look at it. We look at it regularly. We have a inspector there. Beta is still on contract. If there's a question that comes up during the construction that needs to have their design input, they are on call and they provide input, and they are also looking at and administering the construction documents. I think it's well overseen.
Any questions, Kate?
Quick question. So Jack, along with everything you just detailed for us and all the documentation and all the brains and all the certifications behind that, to me it seems that to not have sidewalks would be unsafe. To have sidewalks would be definitely safer than not having them. And that is really the impetus behind us doing this.
Yep.
And it is an 80-20 project, so it's not as if we just decided to do something on our own. This is also funded through higher up.
Last week, Katie, I was approached by somebody who said, why are you doing this? I said, well, to make it safer and things like that. Well, nobody ever gets hit on Route 7. And I
This
said
person came from where?
and I said, well, it's a New Milford resident, that's all we'll leave it.
Oh,
And I said, last year someone got hit and was killed. Where? In front of the high school. I said, we're putting sidewalks here for that purpose. To me, it's a very good thing to do. We're linking them together. We're looking for more. We're not looking for more. We are looking at other areas where we're having gaps in our sidewalks and infrastructure. People are doing more walking. It's an
I was
alternative.
just gonna say, it's nice to know you can walk if
Yeah.
you want to. And thanks for the enclosure, especially the one opposite Pickett District. People stand out there in the rain all the time.
Mayor and Chris?
Yeah, and just for the viewers and for my own information, from where to where will these sidewalks go?
Okay, we're starting at Candlewood Lake Road South, and we're coming north, and permit me, I got my little maps here. They're coming north, they'll go in front of the high school. We're actually taking one portion and going around the back of the high school and putting a crosswalk to Cumberland Farms. And it goes into the high school. Matt's been very happy with it because the students now go out and walk across the lawn and don't have a crossing point. So we're putting that in for the students to make it safer. Because, when you're out of school, where are you gonna go? Cumberland Farms, get a soda. Then it goes from there, it continues from there down to Sullivan Road, where there's a crossing at that point, and goes up to as far as Lanesville. It then goes, there's sections to fill in some gaps as we go, and then it starts
By Taco Bell.
by Taco Bell, goes north as far as Pettibone, and across the road to the church there. And that's the section you may have seen where we've already cut the trees down, and we're doing that toward the fall. Then the last part of it is we're going up Aspetuck Avenue, starting at Main Street, and we're going up to Canterbury School on the western side of Aspetuck Avenue. If you go up there, you'll see where the school has put two pillars. We're going right through the middle of those two pillars.
Good.
Chris? Oh,
Thank you. So are there walk signs, walk signs?
Yes.
Lit, to hit a button, you get a walk sign?
There will be during the project. That's part of what we're going to be doing. Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then once they're done, they belong to the town of New Milford, correct?
Yeah.
100%. Responsibility, liability, et cetera, is town of New Milford. Is that right?
Well,
depends on
It's a state.
Randy?
State,
State, not New Milford.
state,
So who maintains them?
state. You're considered traffic signals.
I'm talking about the crosswalk.
You're considered traffic signals.
And the
Crosswalks.
sidewalks?
You're talking about the lighted crosswalk.
No, I'm talking about the sidewalks themselves.
So the sidewalks along the schools in town and
Sidewalks are ours.
yeah.
The crosswalks are the town, states.
Anything on Route 7 is the state, okay. But the sidewalks, the whole length of the
So
sidewalks.
the sidewalk that goes through New Milford High School is town property.
That makes sense?
That would
Okay.
be the town of New Milford.
Okay, what about the
If
rest?
sidewalks go on private property, that would be the responsibility per our ordinance of the property owner.
We have a sidewalk ordinance here.
Yeah.
So they have to maintain that sidewalk?
Correct.
Okay, and then I didn't see, I don't look at the postings on Facebook. Why were they saying they were unsafe? I'm just curious
You're
if they
just saying
said.
these are unsafe sidewalks.
But,
Conclusion without supporting
people-
any facts.
Yeah.
okay, I just wondered if
Yeah.
they said why. They felt
Fake
they were
news.
unsafe. Huh.
Whatever you wanna call it.
Whatever. Okay. So,
Okay.
so everyone who's got part of this sidewalk on their property along Route 7, once they're done, is responsible for keeping them free of snow, et cetera, et
Correct.
cetera.
You know the sidewalk in front of the car part dealer up above where Three Brothers is? There's a sidewalk, kind of
Yes,
like a
yes.
lonely section.
Yes.
Because they built that after we put in place an ordinance that you would have to put a sidewalk if you put a
And they're
building.
the only ones who did that.
Yeah.
Maybe there's another piece somewhere.
There's a small piece somewhere else, but now we connected.
Now
We
that
had
makes
the
sense.
the Riley's Auto Parts, they put their sidewalk in
Right,
as
yeah.
they
Farther
built
down.
out. So any new build outs, they now are responsible, to put in a sidewalk. So
Got
it's
it.
kind of growing the infrastructure of sidewalks.
Okay.
So,
Thank you.
just the shops in town have to maintain their
Mhm.
sidewalks right out in
Yep.
front of their shop.
Yep.
That's their responsibility.
Yes.
Just wanted to-
Yeah.
go into executive session and invite Attorney DeBella, Attorney Spector, and
Joe.
Joe.
Madam, Joe.
Yep. Yep.
Last-
Bortolini.
Bortolini, into the session.
Second.
To-
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
returning from executive session, and in executive session, no motions were made and no votes were taken. I'd like to add to the agenda, item 10A.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Item 10A, I'd like to move to authorize Attorney Elliot Spector to enter into discussion along the lines that was discussed during executive session.
Second.
We have a second, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Thank you.
Okay. Item 11, Mayor, is you. Want to start with the cultural district?
So, we've been going through, getting our cultural district designation. So the last part of this is to set up the,
I'm sorry to interrupt you. We forgot the time. We need to make them.
okay, yep, so before I do that, Mayor?
Extend, motion, extend 15 minutes.
You're good till 9:30. 9:30.
That's what I thought.
You're good till 9:30.
We're 9:30, you say it, okay?
Okay,
How fast
I'll say
can you talk?
9:30.
okay.
Get done.
At 9:30.
Okay, so the last part of the cultural district designation is to set up a cultural district committee. To do that, an ordinance, we have to fulfill that obligation, so
I'd like to move that we form a committee to create a cultural district ordinance.
Second.
any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
I'd also like to move we set a date for a public hearing concerning the cultural district, and I'd suggest September 23rd, 6:45 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any
Mr. Mayor,
opposed?
do you intend on presenting the ordinance that's been presented, okay,
Yes,
perfect.
thank you. Okay,
Okay.
Katie, next.
Item B, I'd like to move that we accept the recommendations of the Municipal Building Ordinance Review Committee.
Second.
Any discussion? Mary Jane?
Can we ask Tom to come back up and talk about some of his recommendations that he made for the municipal building committee?
Did we all have a copy of what they discussed and decided?
Yep, it's in our packet, the ordinance is in our packet.
Right, the ordinance is in our packet.
Sure.
Okay, Tom. Do you want to come up and talk about some of the items that we talked about?
Okay, how can I help?
So, you had some concerns about, a management plan, like having a different management plan.
The ordinance that I had sent to the mayor and to the town attorney in January included a management process for projects that includes the steps along the way that a building committee would follow in the course of responding to an initial request for a project that would result in the creation of a statement of need, the creation of feasibility studies, preliminary budget, and preliminary timeline that would allow the town to do a cost-benefit analysis of the various alternatives and then direct the municipal building committee to proceed with one of those options. Once the drawings and contract documents related to that selected option were prepared, then the MBC would go back to the committee with those documents and a more refined budget and timeline. If that were acceptable, then the MBC would be authorized to work through the town's purchasing process to engage, to bid out the project. Once the bids were received and reviewed, then again, the town council would be asked to authorize construction. So it's that process that I suggested And that whole process is not part of the revised ordinance. And what was concerning to me, as I mentioned in my remarks, is that the thrust of the changes are to minimize the ability of the committee to really have an active participation in the planning of the project and its execution. So even if they do not end up with that responsibility, it doesn't make the need for that coordination to go away. So I'm suggesting that the community would be better served by one, strengthening the membership of the committee to include the experts within the field that are mentioned in my proposal as being the membership requirements for membership in the committee. And then with the committee properly staffed, give them the opportunity to actually do the steps in the management process that I've proposed in collaboration with the town council, with the mayor, with the Board of Finance, and using the town's existing procurement process as needed to bid work and to engage contractors, both design professionals as well as construction professionals. So that seems to be, from my point of view, a critical effort to make happen. I am really concerned about the current suggestion that we somehow reduce the responsibilities of the committee. So that's, very quickly.
Excuse me, Mr. Capsiak, could I ask what your credentials are that you feel that you are able to make these sorts of comments about the ordinance? Have you ever worked on a municipal building committee in the past? I know you're an engineer of some sort, but I'm just curious, I know you've gone through all this, but what is it that you feel makes you better to determine than the people that are already involved all these years?
The reason I'm making my suggestions is twofold. I've been part of...
How are you, I asked a question, what do you feel, what are your credentials for this?
I've spent a career as part of teams managing construction, renovation, and relocation projects for corporations and governments. So...
sort of like some of the members of the municipal building committee then, who've also done that. So I'm just,
I'm not aware that people that were on the subcommittee have that experience, but anyhow.
The subcommittee, I'm talking about the actual building committee, the municipal building committee. We have people who are, that's what they do for a living.
I've looked up the folks on
I see.
LinkedIn. And
Okay, all right, well, you don't need to go on. I just was curious what kind of background you had in that.
The other half of the answer to your question is that my suggestions are not out of the air, that they're based on the ordinances from the town of Cheshire and the town of Fairfield.
Okay, thank you.
So I use that as models.
Thank you, that's
and
good.
plugged in that text into the structure of the existing ordinance.
Thank you.
So that was gonna be my question, and you just answered it, that you looked at other towns, municipal building committees and their ordinances, and that's where you got some of your information from about. So I guess, Randy, I don't know, I have some concerns, is this, why are you, changing, I guess is there a big liability? Like, I brought that up once before, is there a liability?
No, any
I
answer?
guess,
Yeah.
I answer. First of all, Tom presented two ordinances from two different towns, which are excellent. They are not oversight ordinances.
They're not.
They're not oversight ordinances, they're control ordinances. We agree with that. That would vest the municipal building committee with a lot of authority that is not in this charter. The charter does not vest them.
That's right.
The discussions matter of fact, you weren't privy to this, but on July 30th, the frustration level got to the point where I sent a memorandum to everybody on this committee saying, you need to come to a consensus. Because every time we deal with something, as Tom even knows, it was not what was wanted. So the fact is that I wrote a memo saying that you want an oversight committee or you want a control committee. If you want a control committee, and that these ordinances are excellent, our charter doesn't work.
Correct.
Our charter has to be modified, and our purchasing authority has to be modified. What you're doing is you're vesting essentially a tripartite authority, Board of Finance, Town Council, and Building Committee. We don't have that in our ordinances and charters. The purchasing authority is in charge of bidding. Now the issue came up, and as a matter of fact, I sent it out. I said, "What do you want us to do?" And he was instructed, asked to draft the ordinance, which I examined and in depth, and the understanding that I had was it was an oversight, more of an oversight
Right.
ordinance than it is now,
It should be.
but an oversight ordinance, not a control ordinance. If we do a control ordinance, which you can do, Fairfield is a great, fabulous, town of Fairfield is fabulous. They have a staff.
Yes.
They have a staff that assists the MBC because they're paid. And they have an engineer and they have things of that nature. So the fact is, I asked, what are our marching orders? And apparently their consensus was that they want to tighten up the oversight by way of records and reporting and things of that
And
nature.
Randy, just for edification, because we just spoke about this for a minute here about the actual committee itself. I chaired the committee. Jack, can you come up here and give the town council, as our Department of Public Works Director, I'm sure they all remember when you got hired. What are your credentials?
PE, but for 30 plus years I worked in industry, starting at Anaconda in 1978 in the public, what they call plant engineering. Plant engineering is the same as public works. We built and constructed buildings and manufacturing facilities for Anaconda. Then I was the director of plant engineering at Torrington Company. We built plants in multiple countries and the United States. I was involved in construction of manufacturing plants, wastewater treatment plants, Part B permits. Part B permits is where we have century brass in multiple states throughout the country. I was involved with the remediation of the Fafner bearing plant in New Britain, which is now used for a business and enterprise zone. I was involved with the Animat in Waterbury, the Torrington Company. I've taught for 31 years at Waterbury Tech and environmental and engineering courses. I currently teach engineering courses for Ames College in Colorado. I've been the town manager in Berlin. I've been a town engineer in Litchfield and Berlin and New Milford.
And Jack, when we were coming to a consensus for the committee, you also, Matt Cunningham. He is the facilities director for the Board of Education. He was on the same committee too. Right? And we had Councilman Cosgrove. And the consensus of,
And the head of the
two,
NBC as well.
huh?
And that,
Yes.
the
Yep.
Committee,
We
you're talking
also
about the
had-
subcommittee.
we also-
You're talking
yeah.
about the subcommittee.
Right, we also had Rob Beebe, who is the actual chairman
Mhm.
of the municipal building committee. Also, many extensive years in the building industry. He was on that committee. And as we went through the consensus, as Joe was there as the attorney of record, they all agreed to making this municipal building ordinance the way you see it tonight.
That's right.
And Mayor Bass, I would also just add, the committees, the committee also still has, quite a bit of input, under 144, we still make recommendations to the town council, board of finance, so it's not entirely a hands-off committee.
That's right.
We are just simply being cognizant of the resources available to us, and, there is always legal exposure, as the town has seen through projects, so, we're allowing the committee to have substantial input on projects without increasing the exposure that,
Right.
is a reality in today's day and age.
Thank you, Joe.
Chris?
and I'll just add that what the committee decided the reason why this committee was formed is we realized that the ordinance, as the original ordinance as written, did not accurately match what the intent of the committee originally was. And if we all remember, the intent of the committee came from an output of a project from the Board of Ed, getting an oil tank out. And they ran into problems, the contract was poorly written, the taxpayers ended up footing the bill for, I think, hundreds of thousands of dollars of overage for it. We said, oh, wait a minute, let's get this committee of volunteers with construction experience to help advise on these projects. So it was always meant to be an advisory committee. And this ordinance really, I think, reflects that better than the original ordinance.
Definitely does.
So then is the intent with, right in the beginning when it speaks to review and comment on authorized and funded building construction projects and by the town council. So in other words, any building project, if the town council requests of the municipal building committee, would be reviewed and watched over, I guess is the word for it. If the town council chooses to have a project watched over or not. Like, I'm still vague on
Watched over.
which things fall under this.
Sure. Joe?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. Yeah, that's correct. I mean, the idea is that the committee can give its opinion, submit thoughts, right, for consideration, but the committee's not gonna get into the minutia of every single building contract. And, we have department heads that also get involved, so we are still giving our thoughts, but we're not, the old ordinance was saying we were advising on scope of work and we were advising on, all these other details that the committee doesn't really wanna get involved in. And actually, the old ordinance, I'm not sure, we didn't draft this.
The old ordinance was somebody lifted it from Brooklyn.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To let you know.
Right.
So, and Alex, probably B would be the more likely scenario, more than A, I think, is what we kind of discussed in the committee. Recommendations to any of these town groups for projects. So more of being involved with Jack or the school or whatever. Kind of how it has been up to this point.
That's right.
Except that there only have been a few projects that were handled by the municipal building committee.
And
So
we
are we
don't-
saying,
We're not saying everything. So if they're gonna build a shed out behind the high school, no, there's no reason to
Correct.
get the,
so how is it determined which projects become part of the municipal building committee and which not?
What usually happens in a real town, that what the public works department will get, I mean in other towns. I'm not well tonight, so.
I heard
I'm
it.
undergoing a lot of chemicals. But usually the Department of Public Works has input on everything we do.
That's right.
Every building that we own or project
Yep.
that we have.
Yep.
They would go to the town council by way of the mayor and say, we're gonna need some oversight and input on
Yes.
this. That's how it happens in a real world situation. I'm not real world, I'm real town. And the fact is that how it happens generally is that then the mayor or anybody in the town council, once the director of public works speaks, says, here's what's going on, I wanna update you on the project for, let's say, East Street.
Right.
And my suggestion is that we have this overseen.
Yeah.
At that point, you could hire, if you have a project, you could scope it, and then you hire somebody to design it, and then you do a design build or whatever project you do, but you want to have the NBC involved at that point to do that, but these are volunteers. You have the professionals doing the work and the volunteers are overseeing this as being the eyes and the ears and the voice of the town. It's a request of the town council. But you're right, you don't need the municipal building committee to put a garage up.
No.
Next to Kramer Anderson.
And
You
nor
don't need
has
to.
that happened.
No, it has not happened.
Right.
The roof project, Tom alluded to the roof project, and I don't know that I don't know that they could or couldn't. I don't know if the building committee had any possible means of preventing
changing that, yeah.
Right.
We're not gonna put them up on a roof. You're not gonna put a professional committee up on a roof. You're gonna put a clerk of the works up on a roof.
And there is one.
Right, so
Well, we
that's how
already had
that's
one
done.
roof failure.
I don't know how a municipal building committee had anything to do with that roof. It was a contractor who blew the contract.
Right.
Okay,
So, the moving of the DPW, what's that?
But that already came to the town council.
yeah.
No, I mean, to the municipal building committee.
Sure, when they start, but they don't have a building plan, they don't have a scope. And the fact is that at that point, the town council would most likely
Right.
request a building committee and a clerk of the works and a project engineer and,
That's
you
right.
know what I mean?
That's
But
right.
you can't do anything
You
Okay,
can't
so-
do it until you have a
Are
scope.
we ready to,
Yep.
here we go.
Chris?
Look at the time, call the question.
No,
Right.
could I just ask one more question, do you mind? I just wanted to ask a question about the minutes. So, the minutes of every MBC meeting, they're gonna be filed, it looks like, with, Department of Public Works. Why would it not be filed with the town clerk?
It wouldn't be done, but what?
It is,
It will be?
But
It is.
housed,
How?
that
Okay,
stuff would
so
be.
Right.
Don't forget the town clerk filing is required by FOI.
Right.
That's just in addition to this.
it's
Okay,
just kept
alright.
there.
I didn't, I'm just,
Okay, so we
Any
have,
other questions?
the call to question on this?
So we have a motion,
Yes, and a
do we
second.
have a second?
Chris Cosgrove seconded it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
what are we voting on?
We're gonna motion to,
Call the question?
we're gonna motion, aren't you on the actual one?
To approve the ordinance.
Right.
And send it to the town. That's the public hearing.
So it's a time game?
Yep.
The motion made was to approve the recommendations of the Municipal Building Ordinance Review Committee. I made the motion, Mr. Cosgrove seconded the motion.
You need to amend it to add to send it to
No, no, they approve it first and then they make it.
Correct.
Okay.
So let's just,
So.
one more time.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
Two.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay. Now we have to make a motion
Uh,
to send it to a public hearing.
Somebody have a phone on?
Oh, it's the radio.
oh, okay. Okay, I'd like to, hold on a second here, and I'll tell you exactly what I'd like to do. I'd like to move that we set a date for a public hearing concerning the municipal building ordinance. Suggested date would be September 23rd at 6:30.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Okay, you ready?
Okay.
Okay, I'd like to move on to item 11C. And I'd like to move that we appropriate up to $65,000 for the Track 45 snow plowing machine for the municipal sidewalks at the high school and school district.
Second.
We have a second. Yep. No. Thank you. This
Do we have
is,
we have a second?
do we have a second? Chris seconded?
Chris, thank you.
So this is a machine, as the town is putting on sidewalks, as we talked about earlier, from basically the whole frontage of the New Milford High School. You're gonna have, Route 7 DOT trucks plowing, so you're not gonna have, you know, if it's 6 inches of snow, you're gonna have 1 to 2 feet of snow because of the plowing. Speaking with Matt Cunningham, to really help them out, would be have one of these Ventrac machines like we have here, the Park and Recs, to help with plowing those sidewalks. They are town sidewalks, hence why I'm asking it to come out of the town's capital reserve.
Right.
that was my question.
Any discussion?
Can council people operate it on the first snow?
I won't be here.
Just wanna-
You mean you wanna plow the sidewalks, Chris?
With that machine? Oh, absolutely.
Okay, all
We
right,
have a second,
yep. We have a motion and we have a second.
and it's taken out of capital reserve.
That's not how the motion is. You know, you have to say where it's coming from, don't you? Revise it, amend it to say capital reserve.
Is that where you're gonna take it, Mayor?
Yep.
Okay, let me amend my motion, because I didn't say that. I'd like to move that we appropriate up to $65,000 for the Track 45 snow plowing machine from capital reserve to plow municipal sidewalks at the high school and school district areas.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Town's capital.
The town's capital reserve, yes.
It's the
All
only-
those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank
Mr. Mayor,
you.
it's 9:30.
I, 9:30,
Could
Bob.
we-
Bob,
Bob, it's
You wanna
9:30.
Move to,
I move to extend the meeting 15 more minutes.
okay, to
Second.
9:45, second?
And a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any
Okay.
abstentions? Thank you.
Item 11D, I'd like to move that we approve appropriating up to 120,000, oh, there's a lot of dots there.
Dollars.
$120,000 from the town's capital reserve for the school safety zone lights and equipment.
We have-
Second.
Thank you.
Second?
And we have Chuck and Jack who
We
are
have a
here.
second.
Yep.
Alex?
Yes.
Seconded. And this is, as we talked about many times at town council, this is one of the methods for trying to slow traffic speeds, especially during school zones. Finally, they were approved by Connecticut DOT. Chuck, could you give a brief kind of overview? It is in the paperwork here that you have of the traffic lights, school zone lights that we'll be putting up.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so this project started well over a year ago by my predecessor, the late Mark Rosa. What we looked at is the school zones throughout town and identified some core areas that needed improvement. You know, if you drive the streets today, you'll see a sign up there that says school zone or school zone 10 or 15. Those signs were not legal at that point. It was never approved for OSTA, so we played some catch up. You know, we put in the application to OSTA, we got some formal approvals, and it started out with just a couple school zones. We added, so now we're looking at New Milford High School, right? So we have Route 7, 45 mile an hour speed. We're approved to reduce that to 35 during school. Larson Road, 25 mile an hour speed, we're approved to reduce that to 20 during school hours. Faith Church, same thing, 45 down to 35. We're also looking at Hill and Plain, Schaghticoke, Northville, and Canterbury. A typical setup would just be one sign in each direction on the approaches. For the instance of New Milford High School, there's actually two separate zones, so that's why we need four signs for there. Canterbury School, there's 3 approaches, we need 3 signs for there. Hill and Plain, same thing, because you have the side road of Carlson Road coming into that. And then on Hip Road, you know, we need a pair of signs for that. So what you're seeing is 14 school zone signs that include the yellow flashing LED beacons that will be lit up during set times during the school. It's in the morning and the afternoon. As well as that, there's the approach signs that give you the warning for a school zone ahead, as well as an end school zone at the end. So what this also does, it allows New Milford Police Department to enforce the lower speed limit as well, which keeps everyone safer, you know, during these enforcement events. And puts it out there that the town's doing their part to really make sure these school children are safe walking to and from. The traffic will be slowed down, and it's just one tool, like the mayor said, in our toolbox that we could do. So approvals took a long time, not just for the speed limits themselves, but then the installation and engineering behind that for the system we went with. These school zone signs are programmable, so not only are they set for the morning and afternoon, if the high school wants to run an event or a school event after hours or a sports program or something like that, they're gonna ask or get a set schedule applied through the local traffic authority. And that could be, you know, on demand changed, you know, at any point to say, oh, there's a football game, let's reduce the speed limit for before and for after, or Hill and Plain or Schaghticoke's running an event, you know, providing.
So anytime a school had students doing something there,
Correct.
then it could be enacted.
Yep, and what you'll get the activated LED signs, you know, on the approaches to all the schools, to the specific school zone that's running an event. So again, it's just a way to, you know, warn motorists ahead of time, slow down, hopefully, the average speed of the cars approaching and running through there, and it gives the police department a better way to enforce. So this is a project, again, it's been going a long time. The school zone project is, we're set at 120,000 we're asking for. That's a maximum amount. We expect that to come in a little bit lower than that. But the signs, you know, they're not cheap. They're solar powered, so maintenance wise, they're very inexpensive. We're talking batteries long term, you know, 5 to 6 years. They say we're looking at. There is a network fee for every year just for the cost of being able to on-demand change this. It could be just a plug-and-play option once that expires, but we'll explore the possibility. As far as the design, this is not just your standard U-channel setup into the ground like you see a lot of the other poles. This is going to be a breakaway base with a 4-inch aluminum pole. Especially on Route 7, we got the high speed, snow, debris, things like that. You know, we wanted to install something safe and that'll be long lasting, so we're just going to go with the same design for them all. As far as if there's damage, we just had a crosswalk, the flashing LED crosswalks on Railroad Street got hit not that long ago. We had the spare parts, the system stayed intact. We just, Highway Department came out there, swapped out the breakaway base. We had to order a new solar panel for that. Up and running, you know, it could be as soon as just a couple days if we have the parts in stock. The vendor we're using is Tapco. They're a part of like a Sourcewell type company called Omnia is what we run through. So it's a source purchasing agreement where it's just automatically discounted, you know, pending purchasing authority. That's what we're looking to use. We use Tapco right now for the radar speed sign we have on Route 7. So it's a reliable company. The data's good, and we look forward to installing them. And you know, we hope you approve the project.
Are these the ones that show the speed you're going?
No, this one's not.
Okay.
This will only be illuminated during the hours with the beacons, you know, top and bottom.
Okay. Because I know in Pickett District, there are 2 were just installed. Are those the ones that tell your speed?
Those will be correct. We have to wait for new batteries for those. So they're installed. The batteries, I don't know if they came in today. They should be coming in soon. So those will be a radar sign just to show speed for the approaches. Again, just a way to warn drivers of their speed.
Now for Canterbury, now I know they're a private school. What's our responsibility? Are those all public roads up there that we plow?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so we're responsible for installing stuff up there.
We are, yes.
Okay.
So we're in charge of the crosswalks themselves would be ours, and the roadways we plow and maintain.
I just wasn't clear the responsibility up there, but obviously, okay.
If you want an example.
Mayor?
I think that was a good point about Canterbury, but I gotta tell you, it's about time, you know, because I've seen those signs for years, and I said, when are they gonna catch anybody? Because you never really know. Litchfield is a good example.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
They had a lady standing out there once in a while with
Right.
a flag.
Right.
So you know that.
That's right.
Actually, those were put in a while ago, Bob, and why they're effective is Jimmy Holmes, the state trooper, sits in center school, and it's very effective. He catches a lot of people.
Police car, yeah.
But anyway, it does catch people.
Alex and Chris?
So then they're your responsibility to maintain, replace when they're repaired, et cetera. So in your budget, you're gonna be putting money in for replacement parts, et cetera. We're gonna see that.
Correct. So we will plan to stock the breakaway base, the pole, just for an accident, you know, something happens. The replacement parts, should we have to order, you know, 4 to 6 weeks out would be a minimum. So the plan is to budget for a breakaway base and a pole at the minimum. The hardware itself is, you know, pretty much you could buy anywhere. The sign itself, we do have some spare signs. We'll probably get a special one just to replace either the 35 or the 20, so we'll have those on stock on hand as well.
Good. So when do you anticipate these signs being up and any of them?
So
When
we're looking at 4 to 6 weeks to order from
now,
the time a purchase order is written.
Okay,
So we'll need the purchase order to
Couple
proceed.
months.
Couple months, okay, it's good to know.
Gotta be approved here, then Board of Finance.
Board of Finance, okay, yeah, the amount. And the one that flashes the speed,
Yes.
can you get it when you're going under the speed limit? It gives you the smiley face like Roxbury has. That works. That
So,
works.
Okay, we have ready?
Chris?
You have the capability in-house to program these?
We do.
And you mentioned, I think, a network fee or something, roughly, what is that?
Correct. I believe the cost is about $200 a year to maintain these going forward.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It comes with a year of service, and it's after that. Should we just keep going with the wireless? If not, it's, you have to go to every single one and plug it in, and it kind of limits your ability to change that on the fly.
Yeah, I didn't know if it was 200, 2,000, 20,000 a year. Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Just a quick question, I know we're quick on time. How's the Grove Street light coming?
Grove Street Light. So we just sat down with the engineering firm last week just to finalize contract costs. We are just going through it one more time in-house.
Okay.
And then we're gonna try to pull that out of the budget, out of our operating budget.
Thanks.
Okay.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Item 11E. These sub-items are all to do with ARPA, and I'd like to move that we agree to repurposing of ARPA funds in the amount of $183,081.38 from the youth agency that was appropriated originally for a youth
Two youth
counselor.
counselors.
Two, yeah. That's
So speaking with Jason O'Connor.
good. Wait, you have a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Chris. Speaking with Jason O'Connor, there wasn't the need for the 2 additional youth counselors, as they've been able to get grant funding, as they now can access funds in that respect. So we're gonna, with the approval of the council, repurpose. So that'll be $183,081.38.
So how much do we have? in
What
the-
is the repurposing?
That's what we're getting into here.
Yeah,
That's
so some of
next.
it will be the next.
That's next on your agenda.
Is it gonna be for the youth agency?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't
Just-
have a way to use it.
Give it
Okay,
back.
that's all.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay, so can we just start with this first, the
Right.
repurposing of ARPA funds from the youth agency? We have a
Right.
motion and a second.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
Now, I'd like to move that we use these ARPA repurposed funds. Number one would be to fund $41,378 for an EMS manager.
Second,
Thank you. Alex, I think it was your Mary Jane asking how much was in ARPA that
Yes, sir.
was unappropriated, was
Yeah.
$5,017.85.
Well, we're down to the bottom line.
Right.
Okay.
So the 41,378, we are allowed by American Relief Funds to pay for the EMS manager, Arnie's salary for the first 6 months, and then after December it goes into operations. So we're gonna do 43,378 out of ARPA for the first
41,000.
41, sorry, for the EMS manager.
Okay. We have a second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you.
Continuing with ARPA, I'd like to move that we use from the the repurposed funds of ARPA, $8,500 for tactical emergency casualty care certification for first responders, which is in effect a training.
Second.
And we have the Water Works Chief and Deputy Chief over there. If you guys like to talk a little bit about what this would provide?
Yeah, so already. 9:43, do you want to extend the meeting another 10 minutes or something?
It is now
9:43.
9:43. Can you say it in 2
we
minutes?
have 3 minutes.
Yeah, I can do it. I can
Okay.
do it.
No, we still have a few more reminders.
Last year
We
we
do.
put 10 guys through this class, and we'd like to have the 20, 10 from the ambulance and 10 more from our department for the class. It's a highly recommended class, very technical. We have SWAT Rangers and USAF and technical directors giving this class, and it's very important to us to actually learn what we're gonna do.
So you learn
in case
how
of
to,
an emergency.
how you would be involved and respond in the middle of a tactical emergency.
Correct. So
Yeah, that's
basically, we're not gonna get caught with our pants down, we're gonna know what we're doing with the
Right.
police department.
Good.
And as you could see in C, which we'll be talking about in just a moment,
Right.
there's gonna be a new methodology of active shooters. So with Evolve and everything else was prior to those incidents was that the police would sweep through the entire building and then first responders would then go in after. That's not the case anymore because
Right.
people that were shot would bleed out.
Right.
So the new thing is you're gonna see the next request is that as the police move through the building, then you're going to have ambulance and fire coming in to help as they're clearing out the building. So that's why this training is super important, the tactical emergency
Certainly
training.
is.
And
All
this
right.
is
Okay.
also coming
So
up
we
to
have
our
a,
capital,
we have a motion and a second?
Okay.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions?
I'd like to move that we extend the meeting from 9:45 to 10.
Second.
Second,
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? Thank
Do
you.
you have to put in the
Okay.
motion where the
I-
money's coming from? The one we just voted on?
Yes, I thought
It's from the,
ARPA.
It's not written, but.
I said it.
it's in there.
This
right?
is part of the,
Just wanna make sure.
it's under the
Absolutely.
heading of ARPA, and I said the repurposed ARPA funds from the youth agency.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're up to item C, and I'd like to move that we appropriate from the repurposed ARPA funds that were originally for the youth agency, $19,920 for the New Milford ambulance active shooter equipment, and $3,068 for a command board for New Milford ambulance.
second,
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Whoops.
Well, that's okay. Vote, I can make my comments.
Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay.
I just want to make the statement that on one hand, I hate that we have to do this, but on the other hand, I'm extraordinarily proud of our first responders, that we understand what goes wrong in other communities, and we take legitimate action to make sure that those same mistakes don't happen here, and that the bravery from all our first responders is incredible, so thank you.
And we want you to still be with us.
What's a command board?
It's actually multiple pieces. It's tarps, it's equipment to manage the incident, the incident names on the operations in hospital town. It is to manage the incident from the EMS side. So the fire side takes the incident command. On the EMS side, we have other pieces that fit into how to manage the incident, and that is what feeds into that. So you have, for example, colored tarps. You do triage. So you have a red tarp, you have a yellow tarp, and a green tarp, and a black tarp. And that assists in where you're placing patients, for example.
So it's
That is
triage on the run there.
It's triaging and managing the medical side of the incident versus the incident command side.
I learned something today, thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh.
Something I didn't know.
So I just,
Okay, item F.
wait, Katie, wait.
Oh.
I'm going to say that we're never going to have to use it, right? That's the hope. Does this stuff have a shelf life, and how do we make sure that it's in the rotation for maintenance and replacement? And does it go in the budget so that you never run out? But it's going to sit, is the plan. We hope it sits.
So the idea is, the gear is good for 10 years, helmet, and your chest shields, and then everything gear inside it, and we're proposing already every 10 years to already have that in our budget, so we don't have to ask for money.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
All right.
And you will have someone or some people assigned to make sure that all of those things are checked and figured.
Okay. Last economic development update. I'll be brief. First is unemployment statistics for the state of Connecticut. For the month of July was 2.8%. In Milford, our current workforce is 15,242. 14,861 are employed. 381 people are unemployed. We hope that no one that wants to work is unemployed. That's 2.5% unemployment rate, which is about in line or maybe a little bit lower than some of our fellow towns of our size. And at 2.5%, the economists would basically tell you you're pretty much fully employed.
That's right.
At that respect. Our New Milford Economic Development Commission has sent letters to internet banks. Banks are required with what's called CRA requirement, right? Which is money that they are supposed to pay. It's called the Community Reinvestment Act. So those are funds that the banks are supposed to bring into the communities that they serve. So there's, I'm sure you've seen lots of internet banks that are national. They're all over the place. So what we've done is send a letter to these internet banks and asked to meet with them to see if they could help fulfill their CRA requirements into New Milford. I'll keep the town council approved. or prize once we do that. Our New Milford Economic Development website is almost completed, and once that's done, we'll bring it up for the beta test for the town council to review. The New Milford Now website continues to do well. If you haven't been on there or seen it, for those that are watching, go to www.newmilfordnow.org. It is our community and our tourism website. So it has all places where you can dine, where you can shop, wonderful community stories that Deb Rose puts on there. Doing very well, and I'll continue to update the council. Also included in that, you can see more information on our New Milford Ice Cream Crawl. It's been very successful. Lots
Quite
of
well.
lots of people have come in, got their shirt, and obviously they are helping and sponsoring and patronizing our local ice creameries. Same with our New Milford Antique Trail. You can also look at the trail as well. Go to New Milford Now, click on the dot, and you can show all the wonderful antique places of business we have here, which includes Elephant's Trunk, which is obviously nationally famous. And the Milford Chamber had their business networking meeting last Thursday at Candlelight Farms. If you are a business or are responsible for a business, then the Milford Chamber is a great place to go and network, which is super important. Want to welcome Dairy Queen to New Milford. A lot of fanfare, been very, very busy there. If you do get a chance, not only patronize them, but all of our small businesses in New Milford. And lastly, we're going to be putting out what's called a request for a proposal as we continue to look at all of our buildings. The next two buildings that we're going to be looking at is going to be East Street School and John Pettigrew. So we're going to put out a request for a proposal for a strategic development, redevelopment plan, financial feasibility and analysis on 50 East Street and 2 Pickett Street.
Bless you.
And once we get bids back and requests for that, we'll bring them back to the council and continue our momentum. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, make a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
Thank you, Mayor. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.